Legends at it again. It's very foggy this morning. It's gonna burn off. We're supposed to be about 30 C by the time we're done. 80 degrees Fahrenheit. I was at 85 Fahrenheit, thereabouts. So mild day. As usual, a great day for a bike ride. We'll get some clips for y'all.
On this ride, I left Northampton, rode into the woodlands, picked up the group at the Alden Village Center. We headed out. We took Honia Egypt Road, going out straight out into Honia, 2854 Ribbon Chapel, Mill Route, all the way. When we got into Montgomery, we decided to film after the stop at Taco in the forest. I turned on the camera there. Then we got on 149. Polilonga started to film. We took Taliafero Road to Cedar Hill. That's on camera. And then into Richards, Texas, where we stopped the filming. We headed back 1486 past Dacus. We stayed on 1486, took Mount Moriah into Dobbins, ran into a blocked road because of flooding. So we came back to 105, Spring Branch Road. We ended up doing a lot more kilometers. When we got back to Honia, Egypt, even though it was clear in the morning when we headed out, it had flooded. So the drivers were letting us know that the road was flooded, so we had to go back to Leah Drive and take Fish Creek. By the time we were done, we ended up doing 100 miles on the group ride, about 15 more miles or so more than planned. So I ended up with over 180 kilometers, about 120 some miles for the day. We're on the open road. We're in the Sam Houston National Forest on Lake Mount Pleasant Road. Polilonga suggested that we film out of town today. We usually film from the start of the ride most of the time because the group's usually larger. By the time we get to Taco and it's environs, people start doing different things, going back home, shortening the ride, doing whatever. So the five of us are planning on doing over 130 some kilometers. As you saw, if you saw the route, there were floods that prevented us from doing the exact route we had planned. We made changes and still ran into other stuff. We ended up adding additional kilometers to the original plan because once you're out here and you have to do a detour, you might be riding for 8 kilometers before you can turn, 5 miles or so. So that's the way it is. But ended up being a very pleasant day because the temperatures were mild and it was nice and breezy. It kept things cool and comfortable. In the forest here, you're riding between 3 to 5% for the most part. We ended up encountering an 8% climb when we left Richards on the way back. That's off camera. But once you come out here, you're working. So my goal here was to just keep my anaerobic efforts to a minimum because I'm still trying to build my endurance. Don't push too much. I wanted to finish the ride well. I think Abby is pulling. He kept the pace very steady, and so that made a big difference. We're a few kilometers from, probably about 10 kilometers from where I had to tell Laura I'm backing off right before maybe about 2 kilometers before we turned right on Cedar Hill. I decided to back off because my left leg just had enough. I was pushing because for me, I got to put big watts as these hills are coming. So it feels like you're doing big gear intervals. And until you're ready for them, it takes a toll. So for me, it's like 8 weeks into my training since I left. I was trying to ease into this ride. This is the longest ride I've done this year. So you got to really pace yourself. But fortunately, once they turned on Cedar Hill, they backed off the pace, so I was able to ride back to the group. And you'll see that. That's all on camera. Because out here you're working. We're going up. You can see if you look at the route, we're in the hills. We're in the highest elevation of this ride. We're about probably 30 miles into the ride at this point. So it's 52 kilometers. We started the ride at 7:30, so it's approaching hour 2 since the ride started. And you can see we're 381 meters higher. We ended up going over 1,100 meters on this ride. And that's well over 3,000 feet. And for our area, that's very, very good. So these are the rides that I do when I set up these challenges on Strava, where you're supposed to do 6,000 miles a month, or 6,000 feet, a month. And so you have to come out here and get the elevation. So you have to ride 30 miles from where we live is where it gets really lumpy out here. So depending on what route you take, you can definitely get a good workout out here. So it's Abby in the front. I believe Laura is on his wheel, then Paulie Lunga, and then Tim and myself. 5 of us decided to do the full route. About 132 kilometers was the plan. We ended up doing 162 kilometers. And then plus my additional Ks for my warm-up and cool-down. So it was close to 2 o'clock, 2 p.m. in the afternoon when I was done, when I got home. So we got back around 1-something, thereabouts, 1:30 into the woodlands. But these are the roads that you need to find in your area. We get a car now and then, especially on a Saturday morning. I think I've come here during the weekend. It's just like this. There's not a whole lot out here. This is the national forest. Some people own property in here, but it's not heavily populated. So you don't have a lot of volume. Yeah, that's one car going the opposite way. These yellow stripes are new. They didn't have any stripes in the forest, so maybe they're having issues. They were coming out here and painting. Never used to be any lines there. We'll take it. Because it's so lumpy in here, I just found a gear that I can ride in like 75 to 90 thereabouts, and I don't get too much shifting unless the grade changes appreciably. And around here, most of the time, it was kicking up 3-5%. This is Hidden Forest Road that we're turning on. It's going to take us to 149. The other way goes into a subdivision that Paul and I visited years ago. They have a nice lake there. We filmed a dog there one time. He acted like he was the man. He blocked the road, standing there, challenging us. Some little dog, Chihuahua-looking dog. You're gonna hear a chirp. I think it already chirped. There's a little chirp or a tweet that comes from the Garmin head unit that's paired to the Varia RTL 515, and it's like I set it to where it's a single tone. You get one tone. No matter how many cars are coming, you get one tone. Then after they pass, you get another tone that says it's all clear, basically. The colors will change as the bubbles comes up. That's it right there. I think that's it anyway. No, that's another message. Yeah, that's the tweet. That tweet. I like that. And the car comes by. So now, right there, it says no more. So you get used to those sounds. You don't even have to look that much. I like it because if I'm on a road like this, I'm not guessing whether I hear a car or see a car. You got that radar going, it will let you know, and then you can confirm visually with your mirror. I think coupled with the mirror, it's an infallible system. I've gotten so accustomed to having it, and I'm glad I decided to try it. because I was one of those that was not in favor of the radar, the radar by itself. But I think it has its purpose because just having it eliminates the apprehension. Is there a car back there? Isn't there? It's almost like your own little car back notification. And as long as you don't hear any of the signals, nothing's there. You don't have to wonder. And so even in the group, if there's no sound and I need to move out into a lane, I know I can because it hasn't alerted me. So once it tweets or chirps, you want to wait till it gives you the second sound, which is different. And then there's a green bar that lets you know it's clear. When it's clear like that, then you know nothing's there. I think I turned the camera off here after we turn on to 149. And then Paulie Longa is going to start filming right here. Further down 149, Paulie Longa is filming now. Just a few kilometers down the road, maybe 5K. We're going to go through Grissom Trail, and this is where you will see on camera maybe about 10Ks from now, where Laura's pulling and I'm watching her socks. Her socks matches the shoes and her jersey. And I like the way she put her kit together. So I'm watching her feet. And all of a sudden they appear to be going faster and faster. And my left leg is protesting. And I'm like, what's going on? I don't think she was going that hard. I think I just had issues going on at that moment. But it just felt hard. I was like, you know what? I need to back off. So I told her, I said, Laura, I'm going to back off here. I didn't want them to stop. I said, I'm going to back off here. And I backed off. And then Paul came around me and took her wheel. And so I just slowed down just a little bit. And thankfully, when they turned onto Cedar Hill, they slowed down and I was able to catch back up and we continued riding. You'll see that it's all on camera. But I had to back off. My body was protesting. I'm not sure why. I couldn't figure it out. But I don't know if it was related to, I don't think it was just the pace. I mean, Laura does ride the hills very fast. But I think I had an issue with my cleat earlier in the ride before Taco. I had to stop and adjust it, and maybe it was a little off. But I got that all sorted, so I'm good. Because later in the ride, I felt good. After 5 hours with them, I was feeling good. I could even take polls and all of that. So the ride, I accomplished what I needed to do. We've got a holiday coming up, Memorial Day, and there's been a ride posted. I haven't looked at the details to see who's championing the ride, but Mike Barreras posted it on our board that there's a Memorial Day ride. Memorial Day is Monday. I believe it's the 27th. Yeah, it's a week from, it's the Monday after next weekend. And, it's like a hero's ride, so to speak, celebrating all the people who have given their all for our liberties. So I've got to figure out what I'm going to do to ride or not, because usually on Mondays I'm resting after having pushed on the weekend. But it would be nice to get out there and just kind of sit in a group, spin the legs. Because this is all part of the Sam Houston National Forest, even though this is FM 149, is going through the forest. These roads are going up to like 4 or 5%, I guess. So if you watch the grade and you look at the road itself, you can see the grades going up a little bit. The thing is we're already, let's see, it says 451 meters. We're in by the highest part of the route. But the grades constantly change. See, all of a sudden now it's two something, and then sections will go to like 3, 4, 5%. And they hit you like right there, it's 4%, then it goes back to 3, but you're feeling that as you're riding. And you're in the same gear. And you can see the watts go up. So that's why this area is challenging to ride in. You really get to work. So you really have to relax. It's leveled off, like -2. It looks flat, but it's actually descending. And that's what we've been dealing with. Up and down, up and down. So in about another week or two, I should be back to my old self because I finally got my schedule stabilized and I'm getting consistent training in weekly. Because that's what it takes. Consistent training in the appropriate zones, not killing yourself every time you go out. I love the open road. You can see this whole stretch. Nothing past us. That's the way it is out here. Love coming out. It takes about, even when I ride solo, it takes about 2 hours from where I live by bike to get out here. So when I'm doing a 6-hour ride, I'll come out here. So 2 hours one way, 2 hours back home, and then 2 hours out in this area so you can at least do Bailey Grove or Bethel. We're going further than Bethel today. You see how Paul is filming? Paul he's drifting to the left to slow down because as I stop pedaling, he's still moving into the slipstream. That's why you see him move left or he might move right, but most of the time I think he was moving left. Because I'm moving right to avoid. You can see I'm soft pedaling here. You can soft pedal or you can just not pedal. It's up to you. Sometimes I like to keep my legs moving, like right there, I'm not pedaling. You can do that. So in this stretch, my heart rate's like in zone 1, but the whole ride, I don't think I went higher than 162 beats per minute. But the main thing is to listen to your legs. That's what pedals the bike. Your heart just reacts to give you what you need for the work you're doing. There's some debris on the road there. See the road, all that speed we had a second ago is gone. It's just boom, kicked up between 2 to 3%, and you just feel it. That's almost 4%. It got close to 5%. So you feel that, and you've got to work the gear you're in, and make sure you don't kill your legs. But you want to maintain your form. That's how you teach your body to get stronger.
Right turn up ahead, Ed. Right turn, Ed. Listen to you. Right turn.
So we're going to take Grissom Trail. Gets us off of this highway. It's a little horseshoe of a road that will dump us onto 1759, which is the eastern side of Bethel Road, on the edge of the forest. So we turn here. We didn't encounter any dogs. There's some dogs that live out here used to chase us from time to time. One of the dogs tried one day. Paul dropped him. By the time before the dog could get on the road, Paul was gone. we didn't even get the dog on camera that day.
Good pull, my brother. Okay, Joe, thank you.
Yeah, I told Abby, I said the way he was riding, that's the way Paul and I ride. I don't know if it was here that I told him, probably later in the ride. I think it was later in the ride. But it just crossed my mind. I said, this is how we ride. We keep it hard, but we keep it steady on the endurance rides. So on these rides, when you take over, try to keep the effort similar to the person you are following. On these kind of steady long rides, that allows the person who did that long pull to get a chance to catch their breath. You're not racing. There's a lot of patina on this road, so I'm looking around Laura to make sure I avoid the worst of the ruts. Leave a little bit of gap so I can see better. When the road is choppy or you're going downhill, you don't need to be right up on the wheel. You gotta give yourself some visibility. The dog lives in that yard on the right, and he usually tries to sneak out on the fence, but by the time we get here, we're gone. So he didn't come out today. He wasn't out there. I'm gonna drift to the right. I always descend faster. I mean, I'm a heavier guy and my position's really good. And maybe that's why, but I always descend very fast. Maybe I've got dense bones. Something. But I've always had to work hard at hills. My coach used to tell me, he said, yeah, you can sprint, but if you're not there to sprint, it doesn't matter. So you got to be able to climb. And standing favors me, but you don't want to do that too long or too much, and you have to get the right rhythm, meaning you got to be in the proper gear. So at this point, when Laura takes over, everything felt fast. I don't think she was even aware of it. She's just maintaining what the guy was doing. The terrain is more favorable. You can see minus 1.4. So we're rolling. We're going to come up in a kilometer or so to 1759. That's the east side of the road we call Bethel when we go west. So she didn't really change her effort. Everything stayed the same. So I can't figure out why I was having challenges. I don't know. I think my body just needed a break at that moment. But I definitely needed to back off. My legs felt like they were tightening. My left leg was the main one tightening up on me. I was like, okay, I got to back off. So I figure I got a long day in the saddle. It's just 2 hours into a 6-hour ride. So you really have to make sure you manage your effort. And I'm saying that for those of you who ride. Don't kill yourself in the first third of the ride. Save it for the last third. We're going to be turning right. This is 1759. If you go left, we call it Bethel. It goes back into the forest. That's what I'm telling Laura. Laura's been out here, but she doesn't remember all these roads. We don't come here that often. It's way out. But they've actually improved the surface of this road. This is what I call baby blue asphalt. It is smooth. It used to be chip seal, and I really like this. I'm I'm very surprised they did that, but it's a nice surprise. This is smooth. This is just beautiful. We're not going to be on it very long, maybe 1.5 kilometers, about a mile. Then we're going to turn on to Taliafero, which is an Italian name. Taliafero is the original name, but they changed that name when they came to the States. I had all kinds of issues with the right cleat as well. When I got home, the inside of my knee felt a little bit achy. Not bad, but still, I shouldn't have felt anything. But I think because it came loose, it had moved a little bit. But I got it in its position.
Sorry, man.
I kind of remember where my cleats sit on my shoes. Most of these shoes are made by Rafa, so the positioning is the same. I'm letting Laura know we're going to be turning in about probably 500 meters. We're turning left. So because of the position of that cleat, my right knee was being pulled off its normal track because the cleat came loose, and I hurriedly put it back together before we got to Taco because I had to pull out the line to adjust it.
Gravel.
There's gravel there, so we slowed way down. This is Taliafero. That road, if you stay on it takes you towards Huntsville, Texas, the one we just turned off of. So right on this road, I started having challenges. I don't know what it was. I don't know. Maybe I just needed a break. You can see my heart rate is low. So the effort was low. My body just wasn't happy. Yeah, it depends on how you slept the night before. If you didn't sleep very well, all of that plays a factor into how you feel. So you can't focus on, the watts are only 250 watts or whatever it was when I decided to stop. You have to pay attention to how your body feels. That's another reason why I like to have a heart rate monitor, because that lets you know what's going on inside. What's your heart doing to combat this effort or whatever the input you're giving it. That's important. And I think that's why even the pro riders till this day still use heart rate in combination with power meters, so they can look at their improvement. You know, what heart rate is putting out this power when I'm fit, and what heart rate I'm at when I'm putting out this power when I'm not fit or whatever. They use those kind of correlations to know when their form is coming in. So my heart rate was low, but my body was complaining. Like right here, I'm just at zone 2. It felt like zone 4 to me. So I just wasn't really going well at this moment. And that's what you have to look at. Don't let your ego take over. Oh, I got to hang on to this person and blah, blah, blah. Well, I mean, sometimes you can push longer, but you got to pay attention. Like I did a ride this very week, the Thursday before this ride, and I wasn't aware of it. My rear tire was soft. Until later in the ride, it started getting bouncy. You know, it was a small hole. It was not from something external. It's like the tube had just abraded. Because when I took it off when I got home in the shop, you could see where the rubber over time had just rubbed itself a little hole. It was like a pinhole. It was so small that it would hold air and feel normal. And then several hours would pass before it started feeling soft. So I rode let's say a 3 or 4 hour ride. The last hour, then it started feeling bouncy. So that means most of the ride, I was riding below my normal temperature. I mean, as far as not temperature, pressure in the tire. And it makes a whole lot of sense. I mean, I had the Colnago, so I expected it to feel hard. So mentally, I was working hard, and I was saying, oh, it's okay because it's the Colnago, but it was not the fact. Because the Colnago is just a few pounds heavier than the bike I'm riding. It might be 2 to 3 pounds heavier. It's like maybe 10 kilos, you know, about 20, 21 pounds maybe with the bottles on. This bike is like 18, then my orange bike is 17, you know, which is pretty light for my size frame. But so I just accepted it earlier in the ride. I said, okay, I'm riding the Colnago, I got to work. And so I did the work. And so once we got closer to the woodlands, I actually had Laura feel the tire. And she's like, yeah. And I told her, I said, yeah, it just started feeling bouncy. And so I didn't change it because it was hard enough to where I wasn't bottoming out or anything. So I told her, I'm not going to mess with it on the road. I'm just going to ride it home. About halfway home after I left the group, I stopped and pumped it up. I'm using a new pump by Souke now. I'm going to introduce it to the channel. I'm going to make a video separate for it because it really works. Your arms don't get tired and it gets pressure in the tires. So all along here, everything's feeling hard. I'm not fit. I don't feel like I'm in 144 beats per minute. I feel like it's 164. Everything feels hard. 200 watts feels like 400 watts. So I couldn't explain it. And when you can't explain it, it's time to back off because something's up. You know. Thankfully, as soon as I backed off, I felt better. Once I got back with the group, I was fine. But you can't ignore that. So I'm in the bottom part of zone. The top of zone 2 now. I'm in my endurance zone, and it feels like I'm at threshold. You've probably been there. So I think it had a combination to do with the kind of week I had. Thursday was a very good ride. I even told Laura about it. I told Abby about it too. I rode with them, and it was just a beautiful ride. And then Friday I had to do all kinds of running around. Then I did yard work. Hey, granted, I'm sitting on a mower, but I still had to trim for like 90 minutes. So all of those are factors. Normally, I would do my yard work on a Monday, but it had been raining so much, I had missed yard work to the point where my yard was really overgrown. You know, you don't want to be that guy in the neighborhood with the yard looking like, you know. So I had to get it done. And Friday had come after enough dry days to where I had to get it done. You know, we had so much rain lately. So I may look comfortable back here, but I feel like, man, this is hard. And I'm like, it shouldn't be this hard. And I couldn't explain it. And so whenever I can't, if I'm riding solo, it's easy to just back off and try to reassess. And so with the group, I'm trying my best to stay. And you can see Laura's not going very hard. She's just riding. And so I just decided, I end up telling her, I got to slow down. You know, Paul's ridden with me long enough to where he knows if I'm slowing down, that's the reason. So at 149, let's see, 151 beats per minute, it feels like I'm at 165 right here. So I couldn't explain it. And you can see the watts flickering. We're going like 50 watts, 100 and something. So we're not going that hard. So we're not going hard, and I just feel bad. So I was like, okay, let me just back off for a bit. As soon as I backed off, I took a drink. I continued to ride at a slightly slower pace. I had already told Laura that we were going to be turning at Cedar Hill, which is a road that comes. So we're not staying on this road till we hit Bill's Base Chapel. Yeah, this is why I already told Laura I'm backing up. I waved Paul up. I told her I'm going to slow down. That way they can keep going. So I slowed down just a bit.
Easy, babe.
So I'm still riding, not exactly at this pace, but just a little slow. You can see my watts fluctuating. Yeah, that's the way these roads are, you know, up and down, up and down. We're at 4%. There's a car coming around. I'm right behind the car. As he comes around, I can see them. And I just continue to ride. You can see I'm still at 152 beats per minute. Now go ahead and take a drink. I unclipped my right cleat, put it back in, unclipped my left, because sometimes it helps it settle. And because it had come loose on the road before Taco, I wasn't sure what was going on. But after that, I felt better. It was really weird. So you listen to yourself all the time. Do not ignore it. There's a reason why your body tells you, oh, you know, you might want to, like you're riding along, and, oh, you need a drink. don't dismiss that. You know how you're riding along and you start thinking about the gel in your pocket. Grab one, put it down the chute. There's a reason you're thinking about the gel. This is where we're turning. So as soon as they turn, I'll come over the hill. They're gonna slow down and I'm gonna ride back up.
The service should go on.
Yeah, I'm just feeling real crap. So anyway, after that, I'm riding. You see, the effort. I kept the effort the same. Maybe I just needed to change the rhythm.
Okay. Let him catch up. You want to catch up? Yeah, let Eldred catch up, man. I'm gonna stop. Huh? I'm gonna stop.
So when I turn, I see Abby has stopped, and I start telling him to keep going. So I end up going by him, and I ride up to these guys. So I couldn't explain what happened. It was really weird because the effort was not high, and maybe I was just tired. Maybe my legs were just tired, or something was going on. Because from Thursday to Saturday, as I explained, we rode well on Thursday, a long ride. Then Friday, I did all that running around, did the yard work. I was like, so I had to go back and reevaluate. I couldn't understand it. So only for that moment, that brief moment, and then after that I was fine. And then 5 hours into the ride, I started feeling really good. So I finished the ride fairly strong. So I'm telling them that the shoes just kept making noise, but I don't think it was the shoes. I think something was going on with my body. The effort was too low for me to be bothered. Laura was not riding that fast. She was just riding, steady pace. So couldn't explain it. So we continue, and I think in a little bit there's these cows that's gonna look at us, and I think Paul's gonna turn off the camera, and then I'll turn it back on. Oh yeah, the cows are looking at them. Abby says that it's because they don't know we're vegan. They were literally looking at it like we borrowed money from them. We didn't get them on camera. He said they don't know you're vegan, so they're watching you.
He said they don't know you're vegan.
I said they're watching me like I borrowed money from them.
This guy.
That was cold.
I just laughed because they were looking at us. Two cows, the big ones, big white ones, looking at us. He said they don't know you're vegan. That's why they're looking at you. They looked at us like we borrowed money from them. They don't know you're vegan. I've been avoiding eating meat for like a year. It's amazing. I don't miss it.
You're gonna have to edit this.
Yeah, you can turn it off. El Pirata, she's matching, man.
I was telling her, I said I kept watching her. I was watching her shoes.
Laura should be a designer.
Laura is matching the jersey. The shoes match the socks. Then the jersey.
Looks familiar.
We see a rider here. We're on Base Chapel. We're going towards Richards.
Okay.
We see a rider. I'm holding the camera here. He's up the road. He looked almost like a guy that rides with us called Alejandro. But it turned out it wasn't him.
He rides most of the route by himself.
Because Alejandro usually would know the route and he would go up ahead. But this guy was a different guy. He's just out here riding. But obviously a serious rider. So we say hi as we go by. He's doing his own thing. There were quite a few cyclists out here. I love this road. It's nice. After that crappy little stretch, that's another horseshoe where we go see the hill. It's like a little cow trail per se, that wagon trail. It's not being maintained meticulously. This road was done because of the church.
Feels nice though.
The wind is nice. It's blowing us, but it's nice.
Yeah.
Keeping the temperatures down. So yeah, you always must listen to yourself because I still have no explanation for why I needed to back off at that effort, but I don't know. Once I did, I felt better and I was better off for it. So sometimes you just gotta
I told Mike,
chill.
don't tell me you're sick next time. I said, don't tell me you're sick. Yeah, there's a bunch of bogus.
That's Mike Badass. But what I was saying is that sometimes in a group ride, if you're not feeling great, just drift to the back. And I think that's probably Paul thought that's what I was doing. That's why he asked where's Eldred. Sometimes just drifting to the back or let's say on a climb, if you're in second position, let everybody come around you as you keep your effort steady. Let them increase their effort, and then if the group's big enough, by the time, if it's not a long hill, by the time you crest the hill, if you're still in contact or close, then you can catch back up on the downhill. But don't feel like you always got to push if you're not feeling good. That's one thing. And you know, so sometimes it helps to just back off the effort for just long enough to let your body kind of get it back together. Because I still don't understand why I felt the way I did. My legs were protesting at a very low effort, so I think that it had a lot to do with how my week had gone. I did increase my volume this week on purpose, because that's kind of how you have to improve. You have to load your body either with intensity or volume, or a combination of both, to improve after you rest. So I do these videos to share what really happens on the ride so that people can learn from our experiences. That's what it's about. You must always be paying attention when you ride. You can't get on the bike, go ride, and say, oh, it's kind of like you get in a car and you're the driver. You got to pay attention. Once that car is moving, you have a lot of responsibility. It's the same thing on the bike. You got to be paying attention to how you feel, what's going on the road, so you can stay upright and get home in one piece. If you start paying attention to the wrong things or not paying enough attention, that's how you can hit a pothole. It can bounce your hand off the bars. You know, that's what I mean when I say paying attention. The road gets sketchy, you got to grip those bars. The wind gets a little crazy, you got to hold those bars. That's not the time to do hands-free. All of those things matter in keeping you upright. You got to take it seriously. Every time you get on the bike, you need to be serious about it. I don't care what kind of ride you're doing, whether it's just a recovery ride, you need to pay attention so you can get the ride over with in one piece. This is 149. We took the roundabout quiet way. Richards is probably 5 kilometers in the distance, about maybe 3 miles at most. And between here and there aren't a whole lot of high traffic volume. There's not a whole lot going on here between here and Richards. So Paul drifted to the left to slow down. I stayed to the right. Since he's drifting left, I'm going to drift right. If that changes, I'll do the opposite of what he's doing, like right here. He drifted right, I drifted left. That's why you have to pay attention. People are doing different things. You have to complement what they're doing. So if he goes right, I go left. He goes left, I go right. That's why it needs your attention. Even if you're riding solo, you need to pay attention, because you got to spot that dog before he gets in your path. And sometimes when I see them and I'm feeling frisky, I try to outrun them. If I get in front of them, they're not catching me. That'll be a little fart-like play. But you must always be alert. We're on the outskirts of Grimes County. Richards, Texas is in a county called Grimes. We are in Montgomery County right now. So Harris is the biggest county in the area. That's most of the Houston area. Then you have Montgomery. And we're leaving Montgomery to get into Grimes. You will see the surface of the road change because Montgomery has more dollars from the tax base than Grimes. Right here, the sign on the right says Grimes County. You see the surface change, more of a chip seal. It's not that bad, actually. But this is more of a durable surface. It holds up with the rains and the heat in our area. They haven't had to repave this road for a long time. So out here, between here and Anderson, most of the roads are like this, which is not bad. We're about maybe 3 kilometers from Richards. We're right outside of the city limits. It's always quiet out here. You get a car from time to time. I mean, the speeds are higher, but the volume is very low. There's really no industry out here. So they're either going through or they live in the area. So for the most part, low volume, high speed traffic, high exercise potential. This ended up being a very epic ride. We weren't expecting to go as far as we did, but as I explained earlier, road closures due to the dam being opened in the middle of the morning forced us to reroute our return to town. These are the tracks that let you know you're in town, you're in Richards. And this is the main drag that takes us directly to the store. We saw a lot of cyclists here when we stopped at the store. There were quite a few other cyclists that had just arrived as well. One of them even had a SAG vehicle following him. It's a little warm. 28 Celsius. It's above 85, almost 90 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's probably about 82, 83. 28 Celsius, 29 C right now. It's close to 90 Fahrenheit. But with the breeze, it's very nice. So I don't know what you did this Saturday, but this is part of what we did. A very epic ride visiting Richards, Texas. You blink, you miss it. Remember, get your K's in and keep all the doctors fired.